Yay Networks.
Hi there, I'm Nia Sanchez, and you may recognize me as Miss USA and first runner-up at Miss Universe. Well, there is so much more to me than the sash, the crown, the dresses, the chicken cutlets, and the butt glue. Yep, that's a real thing, and we'll get into that later. I am a 4th degree black belt, a women's self-defense instructor, a mother, and a wife to my amazing co-host, Daniel Booko. We are keeping it real as we dig into relationships, parenting, confidence, self-defense, travel, all the joys and struggles that come with living this beautiful thing we call life. So pull up a chair and throw your hair in a messy bun as we chat with all types of life experts. So make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and look out for Hold My Crown wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Hold My Crown podcast. I am so excited that you are here. We have been having so much fun doing a variety of episodes on the Hold My Crown podcast.
Yes.
But especially these crown confession episodes. We got to let some cats out of the bag. Is that what the phrase is?
We got to stop doing phrases.
Don't let us get into phrases.
No.
I think that is the one, though.
Little BTS.
A little BTS, yes. So my year as
behind the scenes for people that don't know that.
Thank you. We will be talking today all about my time during the Trump era and kind of breaking down the different eras. I will fill you all in just a moment, but I really first wanted to say as we get started that I'm so grateful that you are here, that you're spending time with us every week. I'm seeing the shares on Instagram and social media, and it means the world to us. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. So thank you for showing up, hanging out with us. And I hope that not only this episode, but every episode will also give you takeaways for things that you can apply to your life in general when it's pageant episodes, to your life as a competitor, or if you are a friend or family member of a competitor. I want you to be able to support them. And I just want there to always be a positive takeaway along with a lot of laughs, some funny stories.
Oh, yeah.
And weird moments, because that's just us. Life happens in the middle of a podcast episode. So I'm excited to really kind of dive into this. So today, what are we talking about, my love?
I guess we're talking about the Trump era.
Trump era. And if you are not a familiar person with the pageant world, there are different eras. I feel like that's very popular terminology with Taylor Swift, her Eras tour.
I see what you did there.
Yes, but that's what the fans say. They say, oh, Nia was a part of the Trump era and Olivia was a part of the IMG WME era. And there's different ways of being as a title holder with each era. So I'm going to see if I can test Daniel right now. Do you know the eras from Trump era moving forward to the current era that we are in?
No.
Give it a try, baby. You can do it. Trump is the first one.
Trump is the first one.
Okay.
Check. Then you just said it, right? IMG WME.
Wow, you're paying attention. Good.
Second. We're talking about Miss Universe or
Miss Universe organization and Miss USA. What was after
and
WME
USA,
IMG?
Miss USA, is that when Crystal Stewart took over Miss USA?
Yes.
What?
Good job, my
Okay.
love.
And then Thailand.
And then Thailand, yes, Anne took over the Miss Universe organization.
Okay.
At that time.
Did I miss one?
Crystal Stewart, we'll get into all that, but unfortunately it crashed and burned her era.
Holy cow.
In just 2 years.
Yeah.
And so there was a time where Miss USA did not have a specific director, and we actually interviewed Morgan Romano, and if you go back and listen to that episode, she tells you how it is to be a title holder with no director, a national title holder with no director.
That's right. That was
crazy. So that was
crazy,
that
man.
was her experience with no director. And then now, do you know the era that we are in?
For Miss USA or
Yes.
Miss Universe?
USA.
Miss USA, we are in.
I know.
Give me a clue.
It's so. It might remind you of a Disney princess.
We're in the Cinderella
No.
era.
Okay.
The Belle era.
No.
The Sleeping Beauty
Oh,
era.
close. Getting warmer.
Princess Aurora era.
Nope. Try again.
Sleeping
Nope.
USA
Keep going.
era.
Nope.
The beauty era. The beauty.
Getting warmer.
Beauty. Is beauty in it?
No.
Oh, what the frick? Cutie. Tootie. Fruity.
Okay.
Flutie.
Rose and Sleeping Beauty.
Rose. Briar Rose era.
Boom. No, the Layla Rose era.
Dang it.
So close. So that is the
That
most
was my
recent.
next guess.
That was the
You
most
cut me off
recent
too
Miss
early.
USA era. And yes, with the Miss Universe organization, it was sold from WME IMG to, as you say, Thailand. But Anne, and I couldn't tell you her last name, she is a millionaire, bajillionaire in Thailand. And stop looking at me.
What?
And
what?
and then she now has sold half of it to a wealthy person in Mexico. So
She did?
she did. So,
Okay.
she actually, I think, made some money off of that, like for what she bought it for, how she sold it. But with that, we will also.
Sorry.
I want to give you guys a breakdown. So we are going to talk about the Trump era, a little bit of comparison with the other eras. In my experience, in our experience during the Trump era, I was the last title holder.
The
Trump
he
era.
Announced he was
Maybe
running for
that's
president.
the story we'll tell. Okay, maybe we'll tell that story.
Now
But
he
hold
owned
on.
it with NBC,
NBC Universal. Yes,
who we're now working with.
I know. I'm so glad
the
to be
Valley.
back in like cahoots with NBC Universal.
See, they part.
Well, I've
But
had good
how much
experiences.
did
We'll say
Trump
that.
own the company?
Either 49% or 51%. I don't know. It was like a half and
As
half.
Trump, it would have to be 51%.
Probably.
You know, he with his ego, he ain't taking no 49%.
I know. We need to have
He
some
wants
fact
51%.
checkers of everything.
It's going to be huge.
The votes.
Huge.
All the things.
That's a horrible Trump. My buddy Ben does an amazing Trump impression. I can't
You
do it.
are a voice actor. You should be doing this
I should
properly.
I should.
Try again. Trump impression.
No, I'm not going to do
Go.
it. I'm not going to
Give
do it.
it a try.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm waiting
I'm
for
not
you.
going to do it.
Okay, when we do our episode, our Trump Tales
Huge.
crown. Oh,
Huge. It's going to be huge. No,
Okay.
that's like New York. I know he is New York, but he's got a certain.
why
Gosh,
does
dang
my
it.
mind
You're
always go
embarrassing
to the
me.
gutter? Huge.
Jeez, oh Pete.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like that's healthy for a marriage to just have a connection.
Well,
We're not talking about marriages
thank
right
you.
now today.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It's not
Just
what I
putting
was
it all
saying,
out
but
there.
okay.
Wow.
Wow. Where were we at? So we were talking about
Lord have mercy.
I was trying to wrap up this little section that we're in.
We don't wrap up. We got 3 kids. We know that. Lord have mercy.
Oh my.
Are we just doing this right now?
Is this episode for the youth or for adult competitors only should be listening to this?
Moving on.
All right. The last thing that we'll also be including in this episode, so we'll talk about our time and the end of the Trump era. We will also throw in a little snippet at the end of that of like, is the Miss Universe organization dying? Because
Wow. That's
it
a strong
feels
word.
like it, but we'll talk about it for a moment. I feel like I love having Daniel's like male outside perspective, but he's on the inside because he knows the pageant world.
Ugh,
Yeah, it's so manly.
so manly.
And then
And huge.
and we will wrap it up by talking about the pageant fans and the pageant fandom, because normally we wrap it up with like,
Are you telling me we haven't even started yet?
I'm just letting like the goods, like the juice of the episode that we'll get into. You can't, we have to stop at some point. You gotta just pull it together, sir.
It's you.
It's not me. You started it.
That is not true.
Okay.
Again, your mind is in the gutter.
The good nuggets of the episode is what I'm talking about. We will wrap it up with talking about the pageant fans. Normally I do a Q&A on Instagram. I didn't do that this week. So we're going to talk directly to you if you are a pageant fan, or to the title holders if they have fans. Give a little tip and trick there. All
right, where we start?
Okay, let's take a little break, and when we come back.
Oh my gosh.
And when we come back, we will get right into the episode.
Sounds good.
Hold My Crown is sponsored by BetterHelp. Okay, let's do a little check-in. How is your social battery? Ooh, mine is drained. I love spending time with my friends. I love going out. I love doing media and press and just having a busy life. I truly enjoy it. But at the same time, my social battery can become very, very drained. I personally have really benefited from therapy in the past, and I'm still in therapy, and I love it. It helps me build self-awareness around my social life so that I don't drain my social battery. It helps me learn coping skills, set boundaries. It's just something that overall is really helpful for me to become the best version of myself. If you are thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. I love that it's designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your schedule. So you can just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I love how convenient BetterHelp is. Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/holdmycrown to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/holdmycrown.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You're welcoming us back. Take it over, babe. You get to start
We're talking
the conversation.
about Donald Trump, the Trump era.
We're not talking all about Donald Trump. We're talking about
the
era. Yes.
Era.
Oh, boy.
So, Nia.
Yes.
Tell me a few things about the Trump era that may be different from the other eras.
Okay. I am going to describe the Trump era the way that like the pageant fans describe the Trump era. So a lot of the pageant fans would say the Trump era had like the glam and the sexiness, and like it was just, the title holders were very relevant. Not that they aren't now, but they were with like the right PR company that would put them front and center in the right magazines, getting the right coverage on all the red carpets, at the biggest charity events and galas. I mean, now looking back, I'm like, I was nobody. Like, yes, I was Miss USA, but looking back, I'm like, I'm nobody. Some girl from Nevada that like won a pageant crown. And I was sitting at the front row of every single like fashion show that I went to during Fashion Week. Front row. That's huge.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to huge celebrities. The front row. Oh boy.
Two times in a row.
The front row of so many fashion shows on both New York Fashion Weeks. Like some people say that the February one is smaller because it's cold and people like don't want to be there, but both of them, we were really having like the best experiences. We were at so many really important like galas, lending our voice to huge organizations. I also went to Washington, D.C., and I lobbied on behalf of ovarian and breast cancer awareness. Yeah. And I would speak to senators and congressmen in their offices and was like making change when it came to ovarian cancer awareness specifically. It was just like such a large platform that I feel like you had when you were a Miss USA title holder. I feel like it was still pretty important. I'm trying not to say huge or large anymore, but when IMG and WME took over, but there was because of their relationships, there were different big events that they went to. They went to the Super Bowl, like kickoff parties and like those kind of like red carpet things. So they still had a really like heightened level of awareness, but it was just a little different. And then I feel like it started to taper off a little bit, and it really truly is all about connections for the organization and being with the right and the biggest PR agencies, but all of that costs money. Like I think for a very like low level PR agency, can you help me if I'm wrong? Like maybe 10 years ago when I was a title holder. So we were title holders.
Well, we were.
We were. It would cost like on the lowest end, like $3,000 to $5,000 a month for a PR agency for like one person. And you're paying for each person that they're providing PR for. So then that was like a California PR agency. So think about a New York PR agency with bigger connections that reps all the biggest like people and brands that is, representing them. And then they have to pay for each title holder to get to those events and things like that. So I can only imagine how much that would cost monthly. The organization has to see that there's value in paying that. And so I feel like financially, that's where a lot of things changed. It was like, do they see value in putting money into the organization to create the like stardom?
But isn't the organization, don't they have their own in-house
They had in-house PR,
yes.
Right. But I also, as Miss USA, went to, I really wish I remembered the name. It was so long ago, but a huge, I got to stop it, PR agency that was like one of the biggest ones in New York City. And then they also had an additional PR agency for events and things like that. So, but didn't you? And there was an in-house. But didn't you
also have like the same PR agency that like Donald Trump had?
That's what it was. Exactly. It was his like PR agency.
Right.
The only way that the organization really makes money is off of sponsors, which they would pay thousands, or one paid over $1 million a year. Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars a year to be sponsors of the organization. When Trump announced he was running for president, a lot of the sponsors pulled their money. So when I was Miss USA, I remember being on a red carpet probably about a month or two before he announced he was running for president. And someone asked me, they're like, do you think Donald Trump will run for president? He's always kind of throwing it out there. Do you think it will really happen? And I laughed and I was like, no way. He's Donald Trump. Like, he's not going to be president. I laughed so hard.
But did you know, because I
had no idea.
But you do know that for like 20, 30 years.
He's been
always
saying
like,
it. Yes. I knew that, but I didn't think it was really going to happen. Like, the question was, do you think it will really happen? I was like, no. No, absolutely not.
Right.
Cut to
exactly
2 years later. But was a month or two before. The day that he actually announced, I remember going in for a massage. It was my last massage. When I was Miss USA, they provided a massage or a facial every month as like one of the perks. So I was going in for my last massage as Miss USA, and I come out to my phone blowing up, and people are like, did you hear what Trump said? Did you hear what Trump said? People want you to give up your crown. And I was like, what is happening?
So timeline, because you said it was your last massage, you were on the tail end. You were almost done giving up your title.
Yes, it was.
You had
one month left before giving up my title as Miss USA. And I was like, what is happening? So I went straight for my massage. I tensed right back up. I was like, trying to relax. I was like, what's going on?
Your massage.
Yeah. And I literally went straight to the office because it was a block and a half away from where I was at, the Miss Universe organization office. I went over to my manager, Emily, and I was like, Emily, what is happening? And apparently during the speech where he announced he was running for president, he made statements about Mexico is sending, and I'm not going to quote it properly, so like don't come at me, but like sending their worst people. That was a general energy that he was putting out there about Mexico and people coming over. And I am Mexican, in case you guys don't know. My dad is half Mexican, last name Sanchez. Hello. And people were trying to say, the Latin community, Latino community, all across the board, not just Mexicans, Venezuelans, Colombians, Puerto Ricans, like everybody was like, you need to show him who's boss and like give up your crown, like stand up against him. I'm like, he is how old? And like a man, he does not care if I give up my crown. It's not going to bother him. He'll be like, okay, bye. Sucks for you. Like he does not care. It's not going to affect him in any way, shape, or form. But I just remember talking it out with Emily, going back to my apartment, which is right across the street from the Miss Universe organization offices. And my phone did not stop blowing up. It was getting so intense. Wow. And I came in, I think I had talked to my dad or something. I forget what it was. And I just remember coming into the office crying. Cut to 3 hours later, I come back into the office and I walk into Paula Shugart's office crying, like, this is so bad. And what it was, and I'm just like, what can I say? What can't I say? But as an organization that represents women from all across the world, we celebrated, I'm like we, because I was a part of the organization, like inclusion and diversity. We celebrate the beauty of our differences all around the world. Like that's what the Miss Universe organization is about. They were ready. They were working on their team already to get like a press release up and be like, well, yes, he's our owner. We do not agree with these statements.
Right.
And they were shut down from saying that. But what I ended up doing, and I don't know who told me it was okay, but I wasn't allowed to like put a press release out. Like they couldn't do that on my behalf, but they said, if you want on your personal account, because I felt like I had to say something.
Yeah.
So on my personal account, I released a video essentially saying, I work with the Miss Universe organization and I don't agree with anything that he's said in the, along those lines.
Right.
But I'm like getting a little like, oh, like my heart is racing talking about it because it was so intense. Like I said, I walked into the office crying, and people were getting threats of getting fired.
I can imagine like something out of a movie. Like you walked in the office and like there's paper just flying around.
That's
and people
how
are
it
just
felt.
running all over the place and shredding documents. And
And because like literally that kind of energy, because then the Miss Universe organization, because they're not allowed to do a press release and say, hey, we don't agree with this. They had sponsors calling and saying, if you don't denounce him or denounce what he's saying, we're going to pull our $4 million sponsorship or $1 million sponsorship. And you're not going to have the money to put on your pageant in 1 month from now. The pageant was 1 month away.
Wow.
And we had a spot on national television with NBC. NBC pulled out their relationship with the organization. So the Miss Universe organization had 1 month to put on a pageant it was in Louisiana.
Gosh, I'm remembering how crazy this was. It was insane.
And they had to scramble. I feel so bad for everyone at the Miss Universe organization because it's not their fault, but they're not allowed to say anything against him. And everything is like literally melting, falling into pieces.
But you had already competed for Miss Universe, so you were just going up to give up your title at this next Miss
But
USA.
then think about all the girls that had been made, some of them dreaming their entire
I know.
lives.
That was the biggest thing.
Of competing at Miss USA.
You felt so, your heart just broke for all these girls that, had finally, their dreams came true of, competing for Miss USA, and all this was happening, and they didn't even know if they were going to compete probably.
Right. I think it was like NBC pulled out on like day 3 or 4 after the girls had already arrived at Miss USA to compete. So they are there. They are getting their wardrobe ready. They're doing rehearsals. And then all of a sudden, while they're at Miss USA, they find out that it's not going to be, they're not going to have these opportunities. Because the thing is, it's on NBC Universal, one of their stations, and it is broadcast across the whole U.S. and internationally.
Right.
So there's a lot of opportunities that can come from being on national television, and they just dissipate in a moment because of everyone that pulled out. So it was a wild time.
Man.
Being the last title holder of the Trump era. It was insane.
We went down a rabbit hole.
That's okay.
With that.
It's okay. It was a story I was going to tell.
Oh, good.
It was the story I was going to tell.
This was very good.
Okay. One more little itsy bitsy piece. Also, when the first question you had asked me was like, what are some things that are differences? So, the Miss Universe organization had a huge office in a high-rise building 1 block away from Trump Tower. They moved to a smaller office a few years after Trump was no longer an owner. And now I think all of them work remotely, I think. So there's not this beautiful grand office to go and visit. Like a lot of title holders, international title holders would come from all around over the world. Yeah. And they would go to the Miss Universe organization office and take photos and meet everybody. Yeah. I think they're all remote now.
So I got this question a lot, just side note. When you were Miss USA, because it still was owned by Donald Trump, Did you and every other Miss USA, did you live at Trump Tower?
That was a common misconception. A lot of people are like, oh, you won Miss USA, you live at Trump Tower.
Right.
No, we did not. We lived 1 block away from Trump Tower. And people would joke that because he's, was the penthouse top level,
Right.
they would joke that like he has us 1 block away so he can like look down and keep an eye on us and make sure we're not getting into trouble or anything. All right, we're going to go to a quick break, get our baby, and
I got the baby.
right on back.
I always get the baby.
Okay, we'll come back. I have one more little thing that we'll talk about. We won't talk about the Miss Universe organization today, but maybe another day. I just wanted to quickly touch on the fans and then do a fun little shout out, and then that's it for today. So the fans, the pageant fans, I think are the best fans out there. I am also jumping into the Bravo world, as many of you know, if you've been following on Instagram with our new show, The Valley. So I'll get my own taste of what the Bravo fans are like. I hear they can be intense, but the pageant fans are absolutely incredible. Everyone from the Filipino fans, which are so loving in my experience. I know there's like ups and downs with all the fans because they get a little heated when they're super fans, of course, of their own countries or the countries they're cheering on that year. But the Filipino fans, the Venezuelans, the Mexicans, the Colombians, like all the Latin countries for sure, the Thai fans, the Indonesian fans, the South African fans, like there's just incredible fan bases all over the world. And I am so grateful for them because they've been a part of my journey. Like pageants wouldn't be what they are if it wasn't for the pageant fans. And then if you're a title holder or you're friends of a title holder and you share this episode with them, one thing I want to say is like a little tidbit, a little something that you can have as a takeaway from this episode when it comes to pageant fans is be grateful and humble when it comes to your fans, because you wouldn't be where you're at if it wasn't for them. For example, and this is like a sweet, fun, positive example, one of the first people to ever say, oh, Nia, I'm your fan, started when I was competing in, I think, 2009. At Miss California USA. The title year was 2010, but it was like the November, December of 2009 that I competed for Miss California 2010. And Jesus, we're still friends on Facebook. He comments on my Instagram. Gosh, this was so long ago, almost 12, 13, 14 years ago now. Goodness gracious. And almost 15 years ago. And he is still someone that is cheering me on in my life today when I'm not in the pageant world besides coaching. But I have 3 kids. I'm doing a reality show. Life is so different. And this one fan has been like with me, a supporter for almost 15 years. So I am grateful for him and everyone else that has been along on the pageant journey and then stayed along years after. And if you are a person listening that's in the pageant world, respond to as many messages as you can. Respond to the people that take time out of their day to comment on your posts and your photos. Always stop for a photo if there's any possible way to do it. I know my year after competing at Miss Universe, when I was competing at Miss Universe, and I hadn't seen my family for 4 weeks, and I was so tired, and I just got first runner-up, and I felt like my world was like shattering because I wanted it so bad, and my family was like, let's go to dinner. That is the one time where I remember not taking photos with the pageant fans, and it still kind of haunts me to this day because they called me out in the moment. I feel like it was a sweet group of Filipino fans. They were so excited to take a picture with me, and I was just depleted in energy, and I just wanted to go eat like some pizza with my family after competing at Miss Universe. And I said, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just going to go spend time with my family. I hope I see you around. And they were like, we're your fans. You can't do that. And they kind of said it in like a loving and frustrated way. And it still sticks with me, and I don't forget it. But it's been 10 years since I've competed at Miss Universe. And when I go back to a pageant, there will literally be people, and you know who you are, and I'm so grateful for them, that will say, Nia, Nia, Nia. And it's like, it warms my heart, and I'm so grateful. But it's because, I think part of it is because I love connecting with people on social media, and online and, in person. And I'm grateful for that. So if you're a pageant girl out there, know that you wouldn't be where you're at without your fans, and give them as much love as you possibly can. Okay. One shout out, and then we will finish on up for the day. So I thought it might be fun to do a shout out of the reviews on the podcast app on an iPhone. So I am, there's an option to give reviews. So if you haven't done that yet, I would love a review. So we're going to do a shout out of a review that has been left. And if you haven't had a moment, you can leave a review. You can rate the podcast. Obviously, I would love if you would give us 5 stars. That would mean the world to me. But I'm going to shout out, I think, the first person to leave a review. This is from Blonde Who Pods, January 26, 2024. And of course, it's something nice. That's why I'm shouting it out. So I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just reading the first review that was left. It says, Nia is my all-time favorite Miss USA, and I've always loved her and Daniel. I remember when he proposed and the story of her ring symbolizing her reign as Miss USA. So glad that they have this podcast and we are getting all the behind the scenes, and I love their banter and realness. So thank you so much, Blonde Who Pods, for being the first person that left words in a review. If you are listening to this podcast and got something out of it or just enjoyed it, please feel free to share with your friends, your family on social media. Make sure you tag me at Real Nia Sanchez, Daniel Booko at Daniel Booko, and of course the Hold My Crown podcast Instagram account. And make sure you're subscribed and your friends are subscribed so you can be the first to hear all the latest, whether it's episodes of The Valley and our comments and reviews on all of that, the new show that's on Bravo, or these Crown Confession episodes. Just make sure you're subscribed and following along. Give us a like, give us a review, give us 5 stars. I will see you guys next week on the Hold My Crown podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Yay Networks.